Welcome everyone to our podcast on changes that artificial intelligence is bringing to the world of corporate learning and development. Today, we have two special guests from a trailblazing software company that provides an engine for automating role plays. First, some introductions of our two guests. John Muldoon is the co-founder and CEO at Interflexion. He leads the strategic development, market development, sales, finance, and operations of the company. Prior to founding Interflexion, John was the co-founder of one of the first financial tech companies, Intralinks, an NYSE listed public company. He has also served as the CEO at Lakeview Advisors. John is a CPA and has an MBA from Pace University. Our second guest, John Hack, is the co-founder and chief product officer at Interflexion. He co-founded Interflexion in June 2019 to help people interact more productively and harmoniously with using the AI-powered role-play engine. Prior to Interflexion, he has worked at Capital One as the director of product management. And he has worked at SAP as the vice president of products and innovation. John has an economics degree from MIT and a MS in management of technology from NYU Polytechnic. Welcome, John Muldoon and John Hack. They are on a mission to make professional development available to everyone.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah, sure.
Good to meet. Good to be on the podcast here, BJ.
Thank you. Share a little bit about your journey so far.
Well, we started off about 4.5 years ago, and it starts off with a little story here. I'm going to tell you, for me, what the inspiration was, I was co-managing a software development firm in the South Bronx, and we worked with a not-for-profit that was reaching out to the underserved community. The not-for-profit was providing the technical training, and we, as the software company, were onboarding these newly trained individuals and putting them on assignments with B of A and McKinsey. While we went through a couple of months of working with these young people, what became obvious was they were missing a big component. They had the technical knowledge, but they were lacking in soft skills. And unfortunately, the program fell apart a little bit because without soft skills in the workplace, it's difficult to succeed. So that stuck with me as that's something that needs to be fixed.
John Hack?
And I, have a long career in analytics and performance management and even natural language processing going back to the 1980s. We were working on a project analyzing performance in sports when I was at SAP running the Performance Management Innovation Lab. And what became clear is that in the professional world, it's not just about your physical abilities on the playing field, but the interpersonal skills, leadership, collaboration, teamwork are critical not only to the success, but to the people who are making personnel decisions. That's something they look at very seriously, even though you don't hear much about that necessarily in the press. Clearly, human performance is what drives operational and financial performance downstream. And that really got me and our team really interested in how do we improve how well people perform in the workplace. And that's largely about collaboration, teamwork, and so forth.
Thanks for sharing that and your insights. So what has been your take on the growing importance of soft skills in the recent years?
We like to talk about technical, interpersonal, and cognitive skills rather than hard and soft. In some sense, they're all difficult and require appropriate training and practice. And success requires all three. And we're all familiar with technical or hard, sometimes called hard skills. At Interflexion, we're focused on the interpersonal skills, the conversational skills. And there are really two trends in play right now. One is there is a growing awareness that interpersonal skills are critical to success in the workplace. The World Economic Forum, McKinsey have all been doing studies on this. But the second piece that's driving it is AI and automation. Making the root right. Well, the technical parts of a job, the routine and repetitive tasks that many jobs require are now being done or augmented by AI or process automation. And what's left is you need people who are creative, who are collaborative, who can work together to improve the processes, to improve the products. And that's, as companies are become more aware of that, they are more willing to and recognize the necessity of developing people's interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I might like to add to that, BJ, that there were other driving factors. As we went through this pandemic and the shifting roles in the workplace and work at home, and how organizations were looking at their workforce, it was just another critical factor that communication skills and conversational skills and those interpersonal skills are more valuable than ever. And with AI, to be able to address this with scale and speed, if you will, to retrain people in new roles in that shifting landscape.
Awesome. So, the curious question, where do you see all this headed to? What are the emerging trends here?
Well, one of the things that Jeff Bezos says is we don't just pay attention to what's new, but what's not going to change. And
true.
one of those is that people need to communicate effectively, and they need to be able to have difficult conversations and bring those to productive outcomes. And that's not going to change. So what's happened is, as the need for that has been recognized, the cost of individually coaching people has become the obstacle. And that's where AI comes in. Through AI-guided role play, we believe that many of the foundational skills that people benefit from in the workplace can be developed at low cost and across a much broader base of the workforce, not just the people who are identified as high potential, but the entire workforce. And that has tremendous benefit to the organization as a whole.
Yeah.
Sure. Your thoughts, John?
Yeah. To add to that, it's in my mind too. It's about asynchronous learning, right? You're getting your knowledge-based training in one spot, but being able to practice and apply that knowledge base in a conversational setting, and doing it on your own time, wherever you'd like to do it, and being able to practice in a safe spot so you can review your conversational performance. As we all know, practice we believe really does make you better, and that applies in conversations as well.
Right. Thanks for sharing this. It almost seems like your software or your tool will lead to a democratization of learning and coaching, if you will. So the development happens at a much lower cost and at the person's own availability of time and convenience.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. So would you like to give the viewers an overview of your tool from the perspective of the actual user who wants to participate in this self-practice?
Sure. It's a role play app. It's like a video phone call. And you're presented with, it could be an unhappy customer. It could be your demanding boss. It could be a colleague you're in conflict with, and you're put into this situation, and you're on a video call with them basically, and they present a situation, complaining about a flaw in a product, or complaining about a coworker who isn't getting his work done. And then you have to respond in your natural voice as if you were on a phone call with this person in real life. The software then analyzes how you responded to the situation, and it looks for the ideas that you've conveyed, the perspective that you've taken on the situation, whether you've asked an appropriate question. And there are other things it can measure as well, and vocabulary and sentiment and those sorts of things. And then it gives you feedback. Hey, you did a really good job taking the right perspective on this problem. You missed this key idea here, and you really need to ask the person a follow-up question about this particular topic, or whatever the feedback might be. And then you can, if you want to see yourself, how you looked and sounded, you can do that. You can watch a model of an expert response. What would a really good response look like to that situation? And of course, you practice until you achieve proficiency, and then you can move on through the story. The customer may, have their issue resolved, but now they have some questions. The person complaining about a coworker knows what to do, and now the coworker comes in to complain to you about something else. And, that's how you develop sales skills, management skills, and so forth.
John, would you like to chime in on this?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to take it from the C-suite perspective. Measuring performance, right? Quantifiable outcomes. That's what John and I focused on in developing this tool for industry. A lot has been said about ROI on training investment. When we started our journey, we didn't see much evidence in our eyes of that. We were fortunate enough to be able to focus on ROI, calculating, your interpersonal skills development, and as a result, we were fortunate enough to win an award from the prestigious ROI Institute.
Wow.
And 2 years, actually, it was about a year and a half ago that we received that award. So we're very proud of that. That we were able to come in and we believe make a small change in the industry, but an important one.
Great, and congrats to both of you and the team at Interflexion for this contribution to the world of learning and development.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. So, would you like to help our viewers understand a complete cycle using this role play from a learning and development perspective?
So this is part of the experiential learning loop. Experiential learning is, a loop where you gain knowledge, you practice using that knowledge, you apply that knowledge in the workplace, and then you take time to reflect on that experience and, learn more, practice more, put it to work more, and continue to develop your skills. And today, especially for many of the conversational skills in the workplace, you'll get the knowledge base through classroom, online training, and other sources, but you have very few opportunities to practice. So from the L&D professional's perspective, this fills that key gap between knowing the material and actually putting it to work, on the job. These opportunities to practice are critical. We want people to feel safe and comfortable practicing and making mistakes, so that when that critical conversation comes along, they're actually able to be fluent, make the right points, continue to build the relationship, and move the entire organization forward.
Oh, sure. I can totally relate to that. As a coach, in my coaching sessions, I have done some role play practice, and yet what happens is then the client member feels the need to continue practicing, and perhaps maybe doesn't even want the coach and wants to practice with either some synthetic character or in the old world we used to say fictitious character. So I have immensely enjoyed scripting the role play kind of model use cases in using your tool, and I've had some of my clients use it. So there is very good feedback. And like you said, it's an experiential loop. So yes.
Absolutely.